This is Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. We also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 20th of January 2021 and I am Miss K.
I am Tuum.
And I am JM. In case you missed the headlines this morning, here they are. In the Daily Nation, cornered, Uhuru's surprise demand on Raila. In the Standard, RUTO's moment of reckoning. And in the Star, Raila will be on 2022 ballot. ODM confirms. Let's begin with the Daily Nation.
So it is speculated in this paper today that President Kenyatta now wants his handshake partner Raila Odinga to put pen to paper on their gentleman's agreement for the ODM party to reap actual benefits of their political cooperation. They say that this comes after ODM has claimed a stake. The demand comes after ODM staked a claim to the Nairobi Deputy Governor's post. And they say that the nation is reliably informed that the president's party is keen to formalize the deal and align to the constitution for ODM to continue enjoying the trappings of power. They say that there are agreements in place between Wiper, KANU, CCM and Jubilee, and that nothing stops ODM from following suit and having a formal agreement with the Jubilee party. That would then allow them to have a stake and place a person or nominate a person for the deputy governor's post, because as is stated, you should have the deputy governor and the governor hailing from the same party or parties that are within a corporation. But in an interview with The Nation, ODM National Chairman John Mbadi poured cold water on any such push, and he said that we have been operating with Jubilee without an agreement. This is not about pen or paper, but about what we believe in. It is about us trusting each other, which I tend to agree with him. Finally, The Nation alludes to some sort of tension in terms of BBI, and here again they say that BBI remains strong and unshaken. This is a statement from Mr. Odinga after a meeting that he had. I feel like this entire article is highly speculative. I don't think it's based on anything factual, and that's why all of the sources are conveniently unnamed.
Let me tell you, I do not know who the managing editor of the Daily Nation is, but I do think there is a scheme to separate Uhuru and Raila. And you go back to last week, all the headlines in the Daily Nation, Business Daily and Taifa Leo were against the state, were against Uhuru Kenyatta. I don't know whether there is a brown envelope that's being delivered at NMG on Kimathi House. Wherever they are on Kimathi Street. But I think it's a scheme by the Daily Nation. And I think if you bought the Daily Nation today and last week, you should probably use it as toilet paper.
Wow. We've got a three-part criteria that we use here to assess the headlines. Is the headline topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, and finally, thoughtful or just plain lazy? I think we do agree that this is a speculative headline. That notwithstanding, if there is any merit to this, it is a fair demand by the Jubilee Party.
It's a prenuptial agreement.
I mean, to concretize some things. But anyway, let's toss that and consider the Standard. What do we have there?
Absolutely, RUTO's moment of reckoning. Now, what the Standard is telling us is in the last few days, there's been an onslaught on Deputy President William Ruto from President Kenyatta on Monday, Musalia Mudavadi last week, Kalonzo Musyoka on Monday, Moses Wetangula last week, Raila Odinga and Charity Gilo. And this is they're accusing William Ruto of fomenting a class war. And I do not disagree with them. And I actually think that the DP knows very well that he's fomenting a class war. And the reason he's doing this is because he knows that he might not be president in 2022. So he's looking for a way to enter government, just like Raila did in 2007, 2008. Is it a point of concern? I think yes, because I think that if we do a class war today, what will happen is it will make 2007 look like Sunday school picnic. This country will go down, the abyss like we have not seen before.
Oh yes. It's getting a bashing there from all these NASA leaders.
Yes, and he should be stopped.
He deserves it. He deserves it for what he's doing.
Yes,
I think we'll put that in the parking bay as we consider the Star. Raila will be on 2022 ballot. ODM confirms. So yesterday, we're told, Raila chaired a meeting of ODM chairpersons from all counties at Chungwa House. And he informed the team that ODM will be fielding a presidential candidate and asked leaders to ready the party for the mother of all presidential contests. Pressed for comments, Badi said that the Raila is going to be the flag bearer on ODM.
Yes.
And to this end, they're reviving the party infrastructure, tying up loose ends, reviving the grassroots networks so that they can work towards the 2022 bid. Raila finally also appealed to the party leadership to counter the DP's onslaught on the BBI. And he said, and I quote, "It is therefore upon you as leaders in this movement to debunk the propaganda being peddled by persons who have no record and no ideology other than plunder of public resources." The onslaught against the deputy president from all corners of the essentials of the heavyweights in the political establishment has started in earnest. And it's going to be a really tough one for him, I think, this year to counter.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I think this article doesn't tell us anything we don't know.
Oh, yeah.
As I think you said before, JM, Raila is born to run. So it's just confirming that he was going to run what we all already knew in our guts.
Yes. No, but it's important for those people who thought that perhaps Raila is out of the race. He's not going to bow out. As we've said, he was born to run. This is his destiny, his calling. So I think perhaps we award the winning headline to the Standard.
I would say
yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to toss the star, and we're going to move on to the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. We've got a 3-part criteria we use as well to assess them. Are they humorous or dry, satirical or pessimistic, and effective or just plain lazy? What have we got in the Daily Nation?
Daily Nation, you have Iga's caricature of himself, Sebo, newly elected president of Uganda, or re-elected president of Uganda.
Sixth term.
Sixth term.
Counting.
Yoweri Museveni sitting on a yellow chair with a Kalashnikov there, watching Biden getting sworn in. Breaking news there. US elect President Biden, and he is singing AJ, nothing but a number.
Absolutely.
And Miss K, who sang that song there?
Aliyah. You know.
This is a fantastic cartoon from Iga. It's excellent. This is the best cartoon he's ever done.
And I think he's speaking to Biden being the oldest president ever to take the oath, while Museveni at 78. So Biden is 78, and Museveni being able to relate to this age is just there, close behind at 76.
I love it.
It's a good one.
This tells you Raila can be president at?
Absolutely. Whatever age he'll be at. Maybe 76-ish.
Yes.
As well, or thereabouts.
Yes.
Let's put that in the parking bay then, as we consider the Standard. What do we have here?
The Standard, you have a caricature of Anne Kananu, the deputy governor of Nairobi, and she's a puppet. She's caricatured as a puppet, swearing oath, taking the oath of office, and there she's saying, "I, Anne Kananu, do solemnly swear." But the hand of the puppeteer there, I suspect is Uhuru Kenyatta. That's what Gandhi is trying to tell us because of the shirt. Not a bad one. Not a bad one, and I don't think there's anything.
Absolutely. Nairobi is better off being ruled the way it is by proxy through General Badi.
Absolutely.
And we're seeing all the gains therein.
Yes.
And finally, in the Star, we have a caricature here of outgoing President Trump and incoming President Biden. And so Biden is kicking Trump out of office, singing the song, "Hit the road, Jack, don't you come back no more, no more." Yes, in reference to the inauguration of today. A bit of a dull one, to be honest.
Yes.
Could have been more creative. So I think we tossed that one. I don't know what you guys think between the Standard and the Daily Nation.
I think I like Iga for once. Yesterday really tossed him.
I like Iga as well.
Fantastic. So our winning cartoon goes to the Daily Nation. And now, on to our final thought. But before we get there, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So what is our final thought?
And our final thought, it is inspired by a book entitled The Checklist Manifesto, How to Get Things Right by Atul Gawande.
Yes.
Atul Gawande is a professor of surgery at Harvard Medical School and has in the past served as a staff writer at The New Yorker. In his book, he makes the case that checklists can help us manage the extreme complexity of the modern world.
Yeah.
Some simple definitions. A checklist is a list of items required or things to be done or points to be considered, and it's often used as a reminder. A manifesto, on the other hand, could be a public declaration or a statement to advance a set of ideas, intentions, opinions, or views.
Yeah.
So the checklist manifesto is the author's borderline evangelical argument for the use of checklists to do basically everything.
Yeah.
Gawande argues in the book that a simple to-do checklist is what we all need to enable us to complete the multitude of tasks we perform every day with precision and without failure.
Yeah.
For him, failure is not the result of ignorance or a lack of knowledge of what works and what we ought to do. Failure is the result of ineptitude.
Yes.
That is an improper application of what we already know works.
Yes.
So the premise of Gawande's argument for checklists is his own profession, surgery, where he declares, and his declaration is backed by science, that the humble checklist could eliminate common errors that occur in the operating room.
Yeah.
Gawande shows how checklists have been standard operating procedure in aviation and construction industries, where he says that checklists not only help pilots and builders get the stupid stuff right, but they foster the communication required to deal with the unexpected.
Yes.
So for me, the takeaway about checklists is that making and using checklists needs two things. The first is discipline, and the second is vulnerability.
Yeah.
So it takes discipline for a professional or an expert to put themselves at the mercy of a checklist. It takes discipline to carve out the necessary time every single time to go through a checklist, start to finish, and to correct any errors that that checklist uncovers.
Yeah.
It also takes a great amount of discipline to know what should be included in the checklist and what does not need to be included. You could end up with a checklist that is overbearing. And finally, the process of creating a checklist requires vulnerability. The individuals or teams using that checklist must be open about their mistakes. They must be open about what they did or they did not do that led to those mistakes and what they need to do differently and systematically to prevent them in the future. Chances are high that there's some element of what you do, either at your workplace or at home, that could be enhanced and improved by the checklist tips and templates that Gawande offers in the book. All in all, I think it was a light and informative read, and I really enjoyed the book.
Very good read. Now, imagine being about 20,000 feet in the air in a Boeing 747. Then a cargo door suddenly unlatches itself, just blows out. Now, this happened during a United Airlines flight out of Honolulu in Hawaii on its way to Auckland, New Zealand, with 337 passengers on board. The cargo door was blown out and almost instantaneously takes out several upper deck windows and 5 rows of business class seats. Sadly, 9 passengers are lost at sea. Passengers in adjacent seats were held only by their seatbelts. A flight attendant in the aisle was nearly sucked out too, but an alert passenger managed to grab her ankle and pin her down, inches from the gaping hole. Now, after 20 minutes or so, the pilots managed to safely land the plane. Amid all the chaos, 338 passengers and 18 crew are safe. Not because of the pilot's instincts, but because of the pilot's use of checklists.
That's right.
Right? Now, Gawande got a chance to visit Boeing and see how they make things work. And he noted that over and over again, pilots always fall back on checklists. He says the pilot's checklist is a crucial component, not just for how you handle takeoff and landing in normal circumstances, but even how you handle a crisis in emergency when you only have a couple of minutes to make a critical decision. Now, he found that pilots have normal checklists for routine operations, e.g. Before starting the engines, and non-normal checklists for non-routine or emergency situations. Effective checklists aren't developed in ivory towers or offices. They must be developed with real-world analysis. testing and revisions. Training with checklists is the name of the game.
And I will talk about how the simple checklist has revolutionized the safety records in the health industry and in the field of surgery. And so he says using a simple checklist, a humble checklist, as you called it, Ms. K, is not only a powerful tool, but may also mean the difference between life and death. Medical programs, we're told, studying the use of checklists have shown that they have prevented mistakes, they've saved money, but more importantly, they've saved lives. And I'll highlight 2 studies given by the author. The first study, known as the Keystone Initiative, was carried out by critical care specialist Peter Pronovost. And in his study, he aimed to reduce the number of infections from central line catheters inserted into the veins of intensive care patients. Central lines, we're told, are easily and frequently infected, for example, by being touched with unsterilized hands.
Yes.
And they cause potentially lethal complications and infections for patients in critical care. So Pronovost employed a checklist to see if it would reduce the rate of infection. And it was a success. The initiative ended up saving 1,500 lives over a period of 18 months.
Yes.
Quite a success there. Now, drawing inspiration from Pronovost and the fields of engineering and aviation, as you said, to him, the author, Dr. Atul Gawande, and the World Health Organization collaborated and developed a checklist to be tested in 8 hospitals around the world in what was named the Safe Surgery Saves Lives program. And the hospitals were asked to use this surgical checklist, which consisted of 19 essential items ranging from discussing the patient's expected blood loss to confirming that they actually had the correct patient. You will recall a few years ago, there's a doctor at the Kenyatta National Hospital who operated on, who did performed a brain surgery on the wrong patient. Yeah, so you don't take things like these for granted. Yeah, so confirming that they actually had the correct patient. The results, we're told, were astounding. Deaths from surgeries across the 8 hospitals were reduced. Guess by how much?
80%?
No, I wish. Just a bit lower than, or not a bit, like,
significant.
Almost half of that, 80%, 47%.
But that is 47% more people who did not die.
Yeah, precisely.
That's a good point.
Really remarkable, remarkable figure there.
Yeah.
And so the doctor now also finally shares a personal experience with how checklists helped him and his patients. And he says, while running through a surgical check regarding expected blood loss, it turned out that Dr. Atul, in one of his surgeries, had not accounted for extra units of blood. He didn't think that that they were really needed, being forced to use the checklist, his nursing staff had accounted for that extra blood, and they organized for it. And we're told that during this surgery, Gawande made an accidental tear on the patient, causing cardiac arrest. And that extra blood turned out to be vital. And Gawande says he is sure that without that checklist, he would have killed his patient.
Whoa.
So that is the power of a humble checklist.
Yeah.
Today we had a winning headline from the Standard, and we had a winning cartoon from the Daily Nation. As we close, I would like to leave some reflections for the Deputy President in the context of the 2022 presidential race, in which Raila has officially confirmed that he'll be on the ballot. And this is a quote from Bill Rogers, the American former marathoner and 4-time winner of the Boston Marathon. And he said, "The marathon can humble you." In other words, nothing humbles a man more like running a marathon. And if there's one man who's begging to be taught a lesson, begging to be humbled, it is William Ruto, who is currently sprinting in this marathon known as the presidential race. Yes. You know, he's never ran a presidential campaign before.
Yes.
He thinks he has, he thinks he knows,
Yes.
But he will be humbled this year.
Yes.
And for the better part of next year.
Yes.
But it will build him. Have a good evening.